Okay, so let's talk about creating ease in your studio. Um, so a lot, I see a lot of artists who are feeling like they want to create more ease and create more play in the studio. And so I wanted to take a look at that today and talk about kind of like what's in the way of creating this ease and freedom in the studio. And a few things that I've noticed that we do is one thing is having this sort of underlying belief that that this should be hard, that being an artist is hard, that you have to work hard. It's this idea of like it's got to be hard. Part of it comes um, from that thought, just the idea that being an artist is hard. And we also, so many of us have this idea that that you have to work really hard in order to get what you want. It is a core concept I think that a lot of people have. I know, like in my family, I was brought up that way. So we kind of decide ahead of time, like either consciously or unconsciously, that this is going to be hard. And there's a lot of belief that hard work means respect, or hard work means the work is more valuable. And what I'm seeing is there's a huge conflict then if you're holding these two beliefs, that I have to work really hard and I want ease and freedom in my studio. And so often artists are like really wanting that, like really wanting to be able to go into the studio and create from this other space, and they're not able to do it, and they don't understand why. They're like, why do I make it so hard? So that's what we're going to be taking a look at today. If you believe that working hard is how you create value, then you're not going to allow things to come that easily. So what happens is that part of you that believes that challenge and struggle is what creates a good painting is going to say like, okay, I hear you. Then I'm just going to make this more difficult so that I can fulfill that belief, right? It's a really sneaky thing that our brain likes to do, which is to basically, it sort of is just following directions. It's saying, you think this is, you're telling me that in order to get respect and in order to create value in the work, it has to be hard. So gotcha, I'm going to make it hard. So what I like to think about is, what would it be like to just let go of the idea that this is hard? And I've had a few conversations with artists about this recently, and a lot of people really don't want to let go of that idea. They sort of like, when you really start to dig into it, it's almost like a badge of honor that like, no, you don't understand. I work really hard on this. And so what I want to invite you to consider is can you continue to be dedicated to your craft? Can you continue to pursue excellence, but ditch the idea that it's so hard or it's so difficult or there has to be so much struggle that accompanies that? It's so hard and it's so difficult because that's what we expect it to be. And that's what, if we expect it to be that, we create more of that, and we see more of that. It's so hard and it's so difficult because we're looking for all of the ways that it's so hard and it's so difficult. It's so hard and so difficult because you think hard and difficult is what makes the work valuable, or is what makes you worthy as an artist. Like being a hard worker is something that that has really been elevated. And so we have this belief also that this is another thing that I hear artists saying is, in order to kind of like hang on to that badge of honor, it's almost like if it were so easy then anyone could do it. And of course, if that's what we believe, we won't allow ease into the studio. Like if you really like, when you think of that idea, like, oh, if it were so easy, then anyone else can do it. There's a little bit of defensiveness in there. There's a little bit of like, no, you don't understand how hard I've worked for this. And if what we want is more ease and freedom and flow in the studio, and what we believe is that that ease somehow takes away from the value of the work, or ease somehow takes away from our accomplishments, then we're going to create a lot of struggle to meet the expectation that we have to work really hard and we have to struggle for it. So if we truly, truly believe that hard work equals value, then of course we're going to make sure that we work really hard and we suffer for it, even if we don't have to. So many people really, really have a hard time even like loosening their grip on that idea, never mind letting it go completely. I've talked to a lot of artists that really like, they want to fight me on this. They really want to argue for it. They want to prove how hard it really is. And there's so much black and white thinking in there. It's either really hard or it's not worth doing. And there's this kind of like thought process, like people get really riled up when I talk to them about this. It's like, how dare you suggest that it doesn't have to be so hard? And some people like immediately want to defend the thing that they don't actually want. It's so interesting to me how what our brains do. Like, it's so fascinating how we say that we want this one thing. We say that we want to go into our studio and be able to create from this place of freedom and ease. And at the same time, we will actively refuse to let go of what's holding us back from that thing that we really want. And I've been thinking a lot about this because of these conversations that I've been having, some of them with artists in growth studios, some of them with artists offline. And so it kind of makes me like, I was thinking, like what comes up when we try to remove the idea that working hard is, I want to say that working hard is good, but I think what actually happens, it's not so much that the idea that working hard is good, it's that anything else, anything less than that is negative, is lazy, is all these other ideas that we have, some flavor of that, right? And like I was thinking, like some of the beliefs that I held on to for a very long time, some of the beliefs that I was brought up with were things like, if you're going to do anything, you should do it right. Or like, it's kind of like, if you're not going to do it well, then why bother doing it at all? Some flavor of that, right? And my little kid brain, like, when I was really little, like this is sort of how I was, one of the things that I was taught when I was really little, my little kid brain interpreted that as an absolute. It was all or nothing. So it was super, super black and white thinking on that level. Like when I cleaned something, it was like a deep clean. I would get out the toothbrush and get out all the nooks and crannies. My room when I was a kid was either completely immaculate or in total disarray. There was never like any in between. When like, and I think through like all of the things like that I had that thought process around, like when I decided, for example, that I wanted to pay off my student loan debt and save money, I tracked everything to the penny. Like I did it so well. And I cut back on every single non-essential and then some, and I paid it off. Like, I mean, I'm trying to remember, like I paid it off, I think in 4.5, 5 years. And I wasn't earning like that. I think like I think I was earning at the time somewhere around $30,000. It wasn't like I wasn't like at a high level. I was just like super, super um, attentive to like, this is what's going to happen, right? Whatever project that I worked on when I was at Disney, I would go all in on it. I gave everything 100%. When I decided I wanted to travel, I saved my money, I quit my job, and then I went all in on traveling around the world and just like made it my job basically. And there's so many ways that like going all in thinking really, really benefited me. There was so much that I gained from that. And it was almost like what happened was I could see the ways that it served me. So I kind of went all in on going all in. And that thinking really served me until it didn't. It got me to a certain place in my life, and it really helped me out and allowed me to have some amazing experiences. But what got me to one stage in my life wouldn't necessarily take me to the next stage that I wanted to get to. So I kind of had to let go of something that had worked for me, something that had worked for me. And at that time, it was still working for me so that I could create something even better. So I had to let go of something really good so that I could reach for something better. And the way that I think of that, it's kind of like if you're I used to love Tarzan. Like when I was little, I used to love the comic books Tarzans. So I think of it like kind of swinging from vine to vine. You hold on really tight to one vine and you swing as far as you can on that vine, and then you grab the next vine. And then at this point, you have to let go. You have to let go of the first one so that you can keep your forward momentum. If you grab the next vine, if you're like swinging on a vine and you grab the next one, but you refuse to let go of the first, you're going to just be like left hanging in the middle, and you're going to lose any momentum from that sort of pendulum swing. And you're just going to be dangling there in the middle, not going anywhere. So just as a thought experiment, what if, for those of you who are really looking to create ease and bring more things into your work, like just this idea of ease, but to me, like the idea of ease brings with it fun and joy in the work and sort of this contentment and just like really like letting go of all of the things that we bring into the work that isn't necessary. So just as a thought experiment, what if you just decided that you could let go of things being hard in your studio and grab onto the idea that it could be playful and fun? Like maybe you just start with the possibility that it could maybe be easy and fun, and it's not hard. I'm wondering how many of you are just like screaming right now, right? Or maybe if that's too much for you right now, maybe you just start with the idea that painting is neither easy or hard, that being an artist is neither easy nor hard. Does your head want to just explode with that? Like just that idea that it's not, like it's neither. It's crazy, right? So if your head's like ready to explode, this is perfect. Stay with it. I love it. What if you let go of the idea that, like, we'll just like hone it in on something in particular, right? So what if you just let go of the idea that it's hard to draw well? For a lot of people, letting go of that idea that it is hard to draw well, for a lot of people, somehow that like they feel like that negates their accomplishments. And what I want to offer you is it doesn't negate your accomplishments at all. It doesn't, not even a little bit. You can let go of the idea that it was hard, and you can also keep all of your accomplishments. Because what you did, the way that you got there, is you focused, you prioritized, you practiced, you learned how to do things like measure, how to see, how to create something that appears three-dimensional on a two-dimensional surface. Those are the things that actually made a difference in your drawing abilities. Those are the things that created the momentum, the actual momentum in your skill set. Those are the things that created it. Your skill set and your thinking, those are the things that are valuable. Believing that it was hard and creating struggle around it didn't contribute to your accomplishments at all. If anything, I would say that it probably slowed you down. So I want you to really think about this. Like, what if you can do the exact same thing, focusing your attention on the ease of it and the fun of it? Like, you can accomplish everything that you have accomplished so far. We're not getting rid of that. And you can continue to grow while you're concentrating, while you're focusing and directing your mind and your attention to the ease and the fun of it. Like, what if you got lost in your own experience of it? And here's another example. This is a good one. Like, what if you, like, in creating the ease for yourself, what if you got lost in your own experience of drawing, painting, mixing color, whatever it is that you're working on, and you no longer compared yourself to other artists while you did it? So no more believing that that artist has it better. They have more resources. They live near XYZ studio, so they have lots of they have access to lots of models, for example. Or that artist studied with this other really important artist, so obviously they know something I don't. Or no more believing that that artist hasn't been drawing, things like this one I love, like, that artist hasn't been drawing as long as I have, so they shouldn't be getting more attention. Like, any flavor of that, just gone. And no more, like, of all of the other ways that artists make it hard on themselves by keeping beliefs that bring them down. When you actively direct your attention to thinking that serves you, what you're doing is you're rewiring those default paths that no longer serve you. So I may have, like, I gave you that example of some of the ways that I used to think that really did serve me, and I had to learn to let go of that and rewire my brain to at least consider, to notice when I was thinking that way. I think that's the first step, is to notice when I was thinking, like, oh, if I'm going to do this, it has to be really, really good. Not everything has to be really, really good. Just the things that I really care about, just the things that I prioritize, not everything, right? So that's that black and white thinking. Some people may take some time to get there, right? Some of you may really want to hang on to the thought that this is all, that being an artist, that improving your skill set, it's so much hard work. And of course, if you want to hang on to that thought, you absolutely can. You get to keep whatever thoughts you want. Some people really want to keep that thought because they think that it serves. I mean, obviously they want to keep it because they think that it serves them in some way, right? They think that they think things like, if I didn't believe that I had to work hard, then I would slack off, or I would be letting myself off the hook. Like, this belief I have that it's really hard is what keeps me in the game, right? So if that's how you're looking at it, I just want to invite you to just notice when let's call it the net game. Notice when the overall belief system makes you feel bad or stressed. That is a signal. when the belief system, like when believing that it's hard, for example, leads you away from something else that you want. And so maybe that is that feeling of ease, that feeling of freedom, that like just going into the studio and being able to create without like an enormous amount of stress or without any stress at all. Right. So that like when you notice that the net gain from hanging on to that belief is negative, then I just want to invite you to question the truth of your belief systems, right? Like, what does working hard on your painting really mean that you're more respected as an artist? Does working hard on your painting really mean that painting is going to be better? Like, if you created that exact same painting, if you created that exact same painting with ease, would people respect you less? If you created that exact same painting with ease, would it be less valuable if you were able to just go in and create it with ease and it wasn't like you didn't bring the difficulties with you? Just think about that for a second, because the assumption is that it has to be really hard or it's not valuable. That's often the assumption. So are you making creating with ease mean that you can't be respected and that your work isn't valuable if it's created with ease, right? It's really interesting, like when you really start to unpack it and break it down, like what is the actual thing that is the underlying belief system that is influencing how I show up in the studio. So I want to invite you to get really, really clear on it. Like, who exactly are you imagining won't respect you if you create it with ease? Who exactly are you imagining is saying that your work isn't valuable if you created it with ease? And is that true? How do you know that's true? Like, do you go into a gallery and look at the art and then be like, hang on a second, I want to talk to the artist. This painting seems like it might be really good. I think I am like really responding to it. I think it's really beautiful, but first I have to know how hard it was for that artist to create it. Then I could decide if it, like, it's, when you think about it, it's kind of silly, but we like bring that idea into our studio. And so play with these ideas. Like, I'm not here to tell you what to believe. Like, whatever you want to believe, it's yours to hang on to if you want to. Maybe though, there's room for some parameters. Maybe it's not quite so black and white. And if that's the case, then this week, I just want to invite you to see if you can find a neutral gray in that belief system that works better for you. Something that just like fits beautifully into your process, that fits beautifully into what you want to create. One that opens up possibilities and allows more ease and more freedom into your work, if that's what you're looking for. Okay. So that's what I have for you today, everyone. Have a fabulous week. Happy painting. Growth Studio people, just a quick reminder to check the events page for today's coaching call. There, like a couple, I don't know when we moved it back. And that's what I have for you guys today. Have a fabulous week. Happy painting. We'll talk soon. Ciao, ciao.